What's up, guys? Tanner Sewell, 2024 Golden Door recipient. Today what we're gonna go over is the difference between selling and the difference between order taking, and the importance of really building that relationship at the door, building trust, building credibility, generating leads, as opposed to just going around and order taking. So let's get into it. Yeah, so it's been a pretty, lots of movement today. Had an appointment at 10, appointment at 11. Got some knocks in between that. Had another appointment at 3:30. Locked down this homeowner, able to help this homeowner out, get them pushed through. And then we got another appointment right now. So, it's just about staying busy, staying active, staying moving. This is what a day should feel like. It should be hectic. It should be, hustle bustle. It should be movement. When you get busy, and you start creating stuff like this is why managing your time and stuff is just so critically important, because, you never know what's going to pop up. Sign one, got another appointment here at 4, which we got to get to, and just getting it rolling, man.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, sir, how are you?
All right.
I had you on my calendar for today, my friend.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had you on my calendar. We spoke 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You told me to come back in 3 weeks on Saturday
Well,
at 4 o'clock.
it is going to be done because I got up there.
You saw
The
it?
you know how shingles, you can get a good step on it? You step on them and you kind of slip because all that sanding is coming off. And it's true, it had wind damage. I fixed it.
You did?
You can see it, the difference.
Oh, yeah.
You see it?
So when did you
Yeah.
do that?
Like a year ago?
Percent of
Yeah, but
carriers.
no, I told them, they said they take pictures.
Okay. All right.
So, but you see what I'm saying?
Oh, I see
There
what you're
is
saying.
damage.
Yeah, of
And
course.
if you climb up there, usually you can get a good grip up there, even with tennis shoes, which is wrong. I always wear work boots. But the thing was, you can slip because the little,
Oh, yeah.
the
Granules.
sandpaper stuff is kind of falling off.
Yeah.
You can see it is falling off. So obviously, now we don't have no leaks. And I keep looking and looking.
It's not going to leak.
I know it's not
Yeah.
because it's pretty good, but it does need it.
Yeah.
Who knows how, it's probably the original roof. I've only seen one layer.
Probably 25 years old.
Really?
And the metal, see that metal ridge vent at the very top?
Yeah.
That's
old.
indicative of that. It's probably 25.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's the deal with the solar, right? So the insurance company is going to pay
Yeah.
to have it detach and reset, which is exactly what you want, because it's so, like, if you were paying for this out of pocket or doing something like that, to detach and reset solar panels is super expensive.
Yeah.
The carrier is going to pay to have those detach and reset. It's up to you who you want to do
The
that.
company that put them on, right? Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can,
Something
absolutely.
in the clause.
And we coordinate with them logistically.
Yeah.
Take that off your plate, coordinate with them, make it happen.
There's some.
'Cause
you
we
guys
have
can
to-
knock it off in what, a day?
This is a day.
Right?
12 guys.
Oh,
Killers.
Easy.
Killers.
With
12
every-
guys
yeah,
that know what they're
you put
doing.
it
You know
in
how it
a day.
is.
Oh, you know?
My real concern at this point is, like, we're starting to really move beyond that date of loss, and there's timelines.
There's timelines on the insurance thing by when?
A year from the time that the storm happened. So if this happened in August 1st,
Yeah.
then we got to that
shit.
time. Yeah, so, like, we can't just file it whenever you want.
Oh man.
It's something where it's like there's timelines.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see what you're
and
saying.
typically, like, the sooner, like, so once you're made aware of that it's claim worthy, the claim is always more viable when it's filed pretty consistent with when you're notified.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's extenuating circumstances
Yeah.
here, family extenuating circumstances. But when it comes to insurance companies and we involve them in the process, the timelines and everything are critical.
Yeah.
Critical.
I see.
Sir?
Appreciate it. All right, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Easy.
sir.
Thank you, sir. I love my customers. I want to service them. I want to service them properly. We want to service them appropriately. But what we don't want to do is, like, work on their time. We have to work on our time together. It's their time. It's my time. I want to respect theirs. And if they're a good customer, they'll want to respect mine as well, right? That's totally fair. So it's like, hey, to respect each other's time, connect. I'll send you a text message in a few weeks, and you'll have your calendar handy, I'll have my calendar handy, and then we can pencil something in. Does that sound fair? Of course it sounds fair, because you're respecting their time too. Like, mentally frame it when you're in a situation with the follow-up. The way you want to mentally frame it is like, I'm respecting their time as well, because you are respecting their time as well. When you capture their information and you're able to communicate professionally, whether it's through text or through email, on a time that's gonna work, you're now like respecting their time too, instead of just randomly popping up back at their house, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, right? Like you can play the random pop-up game if you want, but at the same time, like what if they're in the middle of dinner? What if they're in the middle of family? What if they're in the middle of whatever, right? So when you capture that information from them, you're not doing it to be pushy, and you're not doing it to like, you're not doing it to you know, ruffle feathers or harass them with spam and all kinds of mess. You're doing it because you're like, hey, I'm gonna respect your time here, you know? That's I would say one of the biggest mistakes. I wouldn't call it a mistake necessarily, I'd just call it a learning curve, where you have to like understand that your time fundamentally is valuable, time is important to you, and you can't just like willy-nilly appointments. Like you really do have to take that lock-in as seriously as possible and kind of overcome like that initial fear of getting the information and locking it in, trying to set an appointment, following up via text or email as opposed to coming to their door. But I do remember doing that a lot, and it was very, very, very frustrating for me. Kind of like Owen, kind of like how you feel, where you're like, bro, this dude's just wasting my time. Like you feeling like that, that's exactly how it felt. It felt the same way, dude. Especially when you know it's like claim-worthy, you've been on the roof and like, you've already diagnosed all of that. It's a hard pill to swallow. Hello. I wanted to make a quick introduction. My name's Tanner, this is my buddy Izzy. I do a lot of roofs here in the neighborhood. Can I show you something real quick on the front? Because you're probably wondering why I stopped by your house. There's a few of these tabs that are flipped up, like your upper laminates. You'll see that, you see that piece that's like kind of just sitting on the roof?
I noticed that last week.
Yeah.
Like about a dozen shingles up.
Have you seen any on the ground?
It's hard to say what's his, because his roof's really deteriorated.
Well, I'm not expecting you to do anything today, but what I would like to do for you, just as a complimentary service, is get some pictures for you and email you some pictures.
Okay.
And you know, I'll give you my recommendations on it. Can I give you a very small piece of homework?
Sure.
While I'm looking at this, will you look me up personally and professionally online?
Okay.
That way you know who I am.
Yeah, I always do that. I don't hire anybody unless they've got some good reviews.
Check me out on BBB, check me out on Google. Well, give me a few minutes, I'll give you a quick knock and then look me up, at least so you know who I am.
Okay.
This is old. It's just like you can feel the...
Brittle?
Yeah. Upper laminate's blown off. The condition of the roof, like there's a lot of blistering around it. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
This is a thing on black roofs. Like you actually have to look to see it. There's another one right here. That's what I'm saying. You got to look for it on a black roof, buddy. Look at the back. Look at the back slope right there. That's crazy. Always like look at the ridges, because the eaves and the ridges are gonna have the most impact and the most issues, if you will. Probably not gonna have a lot here on the back slope because we don't really get wind. Like, see that big mountain back there? It's gonna be pretty rare to have like wind actually come through that area. But look at this right here. It's all from south facing. So do you see the picture that it's painted? I mean, that whole upper laminate blew off right there. Is there a good place to get out of the sun, maybe, and show you some of these pictures? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Amazing lead. Amazing person, too. Amazing homeowner. That's the kind of homeowner you want to work with right there. All right, I'm going to put a task in. Lead follow-up for Saturday, next Saturday. I'm also going to send direct mail this week. 2 touches, 7 days. So what we did really well there was got on the roof, sold the inspection, presented accurate information, explained how it would work with State Farm. What we did was presented the information, captured the lead, and set a time to check in with her which is next weekend. She looked us up. I asked her to do her homework on us. She did. She liked what she saw. If I would have like taken that and like really tried to pressure her, it wouldn't have boded well. So I don't need to do that, right? Like, would I have liked it? Yeah, it'd been great. But that's cool. It's fine. We've established credibility. We've explained the process. When we meet again, we're not strangers anymore. Now comes the question is, how good is your lead tracking and follow-up game? Are you gonna be like 90% of 95% of roofers who just don't follow up? They're just like, it's either I sign it now or I'm not coming back. The more of those, the better, honestly, because those guys, that's not selling, it's order taking. What we wanna do is be pleasantly persistent now in this follow-up and strategic about it. So we're gonna send some direct mail, a little thank you note, thank you card on Monday. We're gonna text her on Saturday. And she understands what the next steps are. She understands what the next steps are. And she also understands like why she might need us in this process as well, because she specifically said State Farm can be a difficult insurance company, and sometimes they can. Do I think that roof will get approved? Yes, I do. I do, 100%. I do. I do believe that. But she's also aware that it's gonna take time. And we were gentle and kind, we let her talk. And if she was ready to roll right then, guess what? She would have told us. She wasn't ready, right? What did she say at the very beginning? I've been burned by a contractor before. You always have to remember people have had different experiences with contractors. Sometimes they're really good experiences, and sometimes they're really bad experiences. And she's had some bad experiences. So I got to take that into consideration as well, right? What I don't want to do right now is like just pressure the crap out of her. I don't want to do that because I don't need to. That deal will close. It'll close. We'll get that job because of how we carried ourselves. We took her shoes off, went to the house. We explained it. We asked her. We answered her questions thoroughly, accurately, didn't BS her, didn't break out a contract, didn't say sign on the dotted line, nothing like that at all. I mean, that's a really phenomenal Saturday. One deal, right? And one lead. And probably owing a closed retail deal. I prefer door-to-door is because they can get eyes on me. Like, they can see me. You know, they can shake my hand. We can look each other in the eye. They get to see who they're working with directly. And that's the power of the first impression. I think a lot of people overlook that. They really do. I mean, you would think that's very commonsensical in door-to-door, but it's really not. I mean, I've had multiple customers just tell me straight up. I always ask them, you know, I know you had a lot of options, a lot of people that you could have worked with. Why did you choose me? I want to know why they chose to work with me. A lot of times what they'll say, I mean, of course they do speak about the company and our reputation, you know, here in the Valley and in Arizona. But most of the time it's like has had to do with how I presented myself, how I talked to them. That's something you can't do over the phone. That's something it's even hard to do. Well, it's not hard to do, but like if you're actually going out and soliciting and driving business in a very proactive guerrilla way, you got to be buttoned up. And it's the easiest thing to control. I always really drive home like control the controllables. There's so many things you can't control as a door-to-door salesman. You can make a laundry list of things you can't control, but if you write down the things that you can control and you really control them and you take them very seriously, presentation, preparation, knowledge, that kind of stuff. You can control those three factors, and in door-to-door roofing sales, that's everything. It's everything. That's everything. That's the difference between selling 4 roofs a week and selling 1. And it's a difference too, I think, in terms of the kind of homeowners that you want access to. I have a preferred homeowner that I want to work with. It's someone who takes pride in homeownership. It's someone who appreciates honest assessment. Someone that values transparency. someone that is willing to sit down and ask me tough questions. I want a homeowner. I want to work for a homeowner who is going to ask me and grill me and really leave no stone unturned. That's what I want. I want that. I want to work for that person. I always get really kind of freaked out a little bit when someone's just like very quick with it. I don't like that. I don't like it. Not to say that I haven't been in that situation, and of course worked for homeowners like that, because I have. But I have a preferred homeowner type that I want to work with, and those are the kind of people that I think really put a value on the things that I bring to the table, and that's why I really I like every chance I get throughout the claims life cycle to meet in person with that homeowner is exactly what I want to do. Whether it's signing the deal, to checks and colors, to final depreciation, all that stuff. I want to sit down and I want to build that relationship with that homeowner. By the time we're done with that roof and by the time I collect that depreciation check or that final check, like, I want that customer, I want to have a real relationship with that customer, and I want them to be like, wow, this guy did everything he said he was going to do. He cares about this project. He cares about my house, cares about me. Like, I want that. That's what I want. That's the rewarding part about this, in my opinion, because I've met, like, some of my customers are friends. Like, they're friends. They're people that I have I'll have a relationship with well after we're done with their roof, and that's really special to me, and that's cool to me. But it really does. It all starts with that presentation, that initial deal. It can make or break things. So I was talking to our team about this last week, I think. You have, like, of course, you have different, like, levels of sales guys. You got your, basic $1 million sales reps a year. I mean, it's pretty easy to sell $1 million and gross. Then you've got, just got different tiers. From what I've seen, the guys who are hitting that golden door threshold, regardless of the state, they don't stop. They don't look at this as a seasonal exercise, and they don't sign a deal and then they're like, oh, I'm good for the month. They really just keep it rolling. They keep it going. And you would think that would be, again, somewhat like commonsensical, to just keep building the pipeline, to keep selling, to keep the same effort year round. But a lot of guys just ebb and flow. They'll have like a really strong burst one month, and then the next month it's like, oh, I'm back down here. Some guys operate like that. I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong way to do it, but your guys that are hitting that 2.5 million, 3 million plus, they don't slow down year round. They don't have like strong bursts and then they slow down. They're very much like consistent with it year round. And what makes that difficult for some guys is, like, they'll have a big month and they'll get a nice paycheck that month and they're like, oh, I'm good, I can chill out. And then they got to restart again, and then kick the pipeline back off. It's much simpler and more efficient when you just keep the same consistency and effort throughout the 12 months, as opposed to getting real spiky with it. And especially from a financial standpoint, I think there are a lot of people in the industry that are like, yeah, $100,000 good living. I can do that every year. And I don't know if they're like financially planning or what, but this is the kind of industry where you can go in and you can make, multiple six figures in a pretty short period of time. And then what you do with that money is everything. Like, a lot of guys just go out and kind of blow it. They just blow it on stupid stuff, like things they don't need, and they're not planning for the future. Like, you could go in, let's say you make $250,000 that year, and you can live off of like 75, and then what can you do with the rest? Well, I can put it in a Roth. I can start a Roth IRA. I can put it in some good index funds. I can start to like put my money and let it start working for me, as opposed to just constantly in this cycle of spending and then restarting and spending and restarting. This is the kind of industry where if someone's really thinking about it the right way, where they could set themselves up within a decade and really probably never have to work again if you really want. Like, if you're smart with your money and you do it the right way, you can get in and within a decade, maybe even less, honestly. I mean, if you're a really high performing guy or girl, and you go out and you're yielding $250,000 a year, and you live off of 75 of it, and you're putting the rest of it in a system that's allowing that money to work for you, like with a good financial advisor or whatever, you can get in and shoot. You could probably have $1 million in that thing by within 5 to 7 years. You got $1 million in index funds, and it's yielding 10 to 12% returns. Now you got consistent cash flow coming in, just off of dividends. I don't think a lot of roofing salesmen think about it like that. I think they're very much like still look at it as a job and like an hourly thing. And it's like, well, if you look at it like that, then you're just going to be doing hourly people stuff. You're still going to be in the same position 5 to 10 years down the road. But if you play your hand right and you're smart with your money, and you build the right reputation, and you're smart with your earnings, then shoot, man. I mean, you can get in and not have to knock doors anymore unless you really want to. Almost still live off the same budget as I was living off of when I started. I think the only difference is that I just buy a little better food or supplements or things like that, but I haven't bought a Rolex. I'm still wearing normal boots. I'm still wearing normal clothes. I'm still driving, I'm driving a better vehicle, but I mean, this isn't, if I pulled up to Mastro's for dinner, no one's gonna, I don't know. I'm just a firm believer in that just be incredibly disciplined with what you're making and be smart with it. And that's the beautiful part about this industry, to be honest, because you can get in and you can put yourself in a really good position pretty quick financially, or get yourself out of a hole financially pretty quick. You can dig yourself out of a financial hole if you're in a financial hole. It's the quickest way to do it. It's learning a skill set like this where you can call your shots. It just goes down to how much are you willing to work for it. Like how much discipline are you going to have through the process, and how much patience are you going to have through the process. That's always the question of the year. Is not so much how talented somebody is, but because talent doesn't really mean anything in this industry, to be honest. Talent doesn't really mean that much. It's not that important. It's more about how much patience and discipline can somebody have. The high pressure stuff, man, I just don't think it works. I really don't. It might work sometimes, but I've never felt comfortable with high pressure sales tactics ever. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't feel comfortable with how it makes a customer feel. I just, you see some stuff from Andy Elliott out there, and it's like super high pressure, like very like high pressure boiler room stuff. And you see a new sales guy watch that kind of stuff, and they think that's how it's supposed to be done in real time. And I'm like, man, you missed the boat, dude. I've never sat down with a homeowner and ever been in a situation where I was like, oh, that's an appropriate sales tactic, the high pressure stuff. Like one of the there's like an objection that I think is actually a really good objection, and it's a reasonable objection where, let's say you're talking to the husband and he's like, hey, I need to consult with my wife on this. That's a totally reasonable objection. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, really, you're going to try to guilt trip the husband into making a decision without at least running it by and talking about it as a family, I mean, that's crazy talk. You know, there's probably a really good reason why he wants to run this by his wife. And you don't know what that reason is. It could have been because maybe he selected a contractor in the past and the wife wasn't happy with the experience and they had a bad experience with it. And they take family decisions seriously. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a very reasonable thing to do. So instead of like, I heard this, it was like a high pressure situation where you try to like, where the guy tried to guilt trip the husband into being like, well, what do you mean? You can't make decisions for your family? And I'm like, what? That's bizarre. It's insulting and not even true. Might not even be true. I see that stuff as just crazy talk. I really do. The high pressure, like in your face, sign now or die type stuff, man. Oh, that stuff turns me on. You'll never see Jeremy Minor pulling a stunt like that. You'll never see Adam Bensman trying to pull a stunt like that ever. It's all about getting to the nitty gritty of what are the concerns. Let's address the concerns accurately, honestly, and thoroughly, so you can make an informed decision on not only what you want to do, but who you want to work with. You know, you have to understand the homeowner has options, and until they shake your hand and sign on a dotted line, they've got options. And letting them know, hey, you can go with whoever you want. Whoever you decide to work with is fine, but here's how I'm going to present this information to you, and here's what I'm going to deliver. Don't take my word for it. Verify me however you want. You know, I think homeowners feel way more comfortable working with somebody like that than they do someone who's like just in their face, you know, and pressuring and pressuring and pressuring. I've never seen that work. I've never seen it work. Preparation does go a long way, though. I mean, you think about having your folders and your contracts and your tape measure and your tarps and all of that stuff, just having it ready, being prepared, and taking that preparation seriously, because opportunities will come about. They will happen. Opportunities will happen. The question is not whether the opportunities will come across your table. It's the question really is, are you going to be prepared to capitalize on those opportunities? Is really what it boils down to. If you're in door-to-door space, you will have opportunities cross your table. But are you prepared to capitalize on that opportunity? You know, did you stay up really late the night before? You know, are you tired? Are you whatever? You know, so much of it is just mental preparation, physical preparation, crossing T's, dotting I's. That kind of stuff is very simple stuff. It's something I preach all the time with our guys. I think my biggest fear in this industry, the thing that really drives me a lot, is having an opportunity come across my plate and then me not be ready for it. That terrifies me. That scares me really bad, actually. I always want to be ready. I always want to be ready for it. And I want to be ready, more prepared and more ready than the next guy. That's what I want. That's what I strive for. I'm always fearful that I'm not going to be prepared or I'm not going to be ready for that opportunity. So I live and it's almost kind of a paranoia in some respects. Healthy paranoia, I think, but paranoia nonetheless. All right, so can I read this comment? So he said, why won't you deal with State Farm if they have legitimate damage? And that one where I was like, no, we're not going to take it. Because the hail that was there was not enough supporting collateral to justify the claim. Was there some semblances of hail damage on the roof? Definitely argue that for sure. But if you don't have collateral, why file the claim? Why file the claim if there's no hail collateral? Like, could it potentially be approved? Potentially. With a very small caveat, like with a very small percentage, very small chance of that getting approved with State Farm. And because the State Farm is very stringent on the kind of collateral that they require, which isn't unreasonable, by the way. And the question is, did it inhibit the shingles water shedding ability? Not really. So why would I file that claim? Why would I send that Why would I file a claim on that? I don't know. I mean, there's some people out there that would. And then, let's say it doesn't get approved because there's no collateral. Well, now you just put a claim on a homeowner's record, knowing with a high probability it wasn't going to get approved. I can't do that. I'd rather, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And I don't know many people that would. I'm sure there's some that are going to throw paper. Gave me your information and advised me to reach out and make an introduction.
Oh, the roofer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. He wants you to look at the roof because I had some issues about whether or not I was going to move forward with the same roofer. I didn't think so. But what I have for him is an invoice that the work was done. But he told me that I should talk to you. You know, you come out and look at it, and we'll chat. So what's a good day for you?
Well, how does tomorrow?
When are you in the area?
Does tomorrow work for you?
Huh?
Does tomorrow work for you?
Sure. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well,
Absolutely.
I'm pulling up my calendar here, and I'll give you a good time. How does tomorrow morning work? Maybe around 10 a.m.?
Oh, you know what? I'll make it. 10 o'clock is good.
Perfect.
I'll get up early. I'll walk the doggies early. It'll be good. It's good. I need to do that anyway because summer's coming, so I've got to make a transition.
Enjoy it while it lasts before it gets too hot.
I know. Okay, so we'll see you at 10. You got my address. Okay, and we'll chat tomorrow.
Sounds good. I look forward to potentially troubleshooting this for you and, at least providing some viable options. So we could, keep your insurance intact without too much of a rate hike, Filled me in a little bit on what was going on.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have the invoice with me yet, but I'm supposed to be getting it so that I can show the insurance company the invoice and then I could move on from there.
I just give you an honest assessment of what's going on, and if anything needs to be done, I'll let you know. And, knows that I'm very fair with my pricing and transparency with all that. So, at the end of the day,
He's already said that.
we're gonna give you an honest assessment, and if we need to, if it's necessary, give you a fair price on it, and and down the road, whether it's now or whether it's later, I am committed to serving your roofing needs at one point or another. So, I want to do
Very
a good.
I'm looking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm sure. I know you will. That's what he said. He said all of that good stuff about you. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you guys for watching. As always, super curious to know what your takeaways were from this video. Really curious to know. Always enjoy reading the comments. If you're the kind of person that wants to start generating real income, taking control of your life, really interested in connecting with you, click the link below and let's chat.